Guys, despite what the Cards are saying, what is the trade market for Kyler Murray?
He's more valuable to the Cardinals than any other team out there.
I don't know. Kyler has a bit of a reputation problem, and I don't know how much of it is true or not. He doesn't deny much of it.
Then you've got to pick up the phone and see what kind of interest there is out there.
I can't get my finger on what the trade market is.
So I'm going to give you guys a little heads up. This video is extremely highly speculative based upon reports that I'm seeing on the internet. And to be honest, a portion of it I just don't understand. But I'm seeing multiple articles, multiple tweets, so many people discussing the end of Kyler Murray's career. So I figured since we're getting to that point in the offseason, why not discuss some theories? Why not discuss what the hell is going on and actually question the validity of some of this stuff? So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. When we get to 100K followers on Instagram, we're going to be giving away $100 to multiple followers that turn on my notifications on Instagram. Now that we get all that out of the way, work! Today's video is sponsored by Private Internet Access, or PIA, the world's most transparent VPN provider. A virtual private network, or VPN for short, hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. This way it shields your digital life from those that are trying to exploit your private information. But there's also a lot of cool things you could do with the two. For example, I have NBA League Pass and I don't have cable, so there's no way I could watch the Los Angeles Lakers play when I'm in LA because it's technically blacked out. But what if I use my VPN to say that I'm currently in Denver, Colorado? Well, then I could access League Pass to watch my Los Angeles Lakers lose. With over 30 million downloads, PIA never records or stores user data, and their no logs policy has been proven multiple times in court. Private Internet Access hides your IP address and encrypts your internet connection. This way it shields your digital life from the eyes of your internet service provider, network administrators, or government censors. Private Internet Access comes with a load of benefits and works with all major streaming services, so you can access more content than ever from all parts of the world. Signing up for Private Internet Access is risk-free. By clicking my link in the description box, you'll get an 83% discount off of Private Internet Access. That's $2.03 a month, and you'll also get 4 months for free. And thank you, PIA, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I would like to reiterate over and over and over again, this isn't stuff that I believe in my heart of hearts. A lot of this stuff doesn't even make sense to me. But in order for you to understand how we got to the point we're at now, you need to understand how Kyler Murray became a member of the Arizona Cardinals. And in order to truly understand that, you have to go all the way back to the 2018 NFL Draft, where the Arizona Cardinals said, that's it, enough is enough. We're gonna select Josh Rosen with the 10th overall pick. I mean, how could you not select Josh Rosen based upon the confidence this guy had during the draft? I mean, watch.
Absolutely the best quarterback in the draft, by far. I want to go to the team that wants me the most. I want to win Super Bowls, and I want to have the most. So I'm coming for Tom Brady's record, and I plan on getting picked pretty early.
Bro, if his draft promo wasn't enough for you, you should really see how he reacted when he realized he wasn't the #1 overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, and he went to the Arizona Cardinals after Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Josh Allen.
There were 9 mistakes made ahead of me, and I'll make sure over in the next decade or so that they'll know they made the mistakes.
Josh Rosen's a very controversial topic because you either believe that he never really got a fair chance because he only had 1 season with the Cardinals, no offensive line, Steve Wilkes, defensive-minded coach as his head coach, not a lot of weapons aside from Larry Fitzgerald, but as a result in the games that he did play, he had a 55% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. You gotta understand, whenever someone has a 55% completion percentage, I mean, granted, he did get sacked 45 times, there's definitely a concern about whether or not this guy is salvageable. Unfortunately for Josh Rosen, both he and Steve Wilkes were one and dones because, well, Arizona Cardinals were trying to revolutionize the sport of football by bringing in Cliff Kingsbury as their next head coach. And unfortunately for Josh Rosen, Cliff Kingsbury had a quote on Kyler Murray that went like this.
Kyler is, I mean, he's a freak, man. Purdy's a really good young player, and he's going to be a tremendous player, but Kyler is a freak. And Followed him since he was a sophomore.
Which is even more comical because Nick Bosa had a meeting with both Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury where, well, best that you hear from the general manager, Steve Keim himself.
We went to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and had dinner with Nick Bosa. I'll never forget, he puts his arm around me and Cliff Kingsbury, both of us, in basically a headlock. You guys are probably going to end up taking that little quarterback. And if you do, he looked over at me and said, Steve, I will haunt you for the rest of your career.
So Kyler Murray became the #1 overall pick in the 2019 NFL draft. To be honest, it wasn't a pick I was for. I felt like whenever you have a quarterback that you selected with a rookie scale contract, 10th overall, if he stinks, then stink it up with him, tank a bunch, and take better players the year after. I mean, you already selected Rosen with the 10th overall pick, so if he ends up stinking, then, well, worst case scenario, you're at the top of the draft in the 2020 NFL draft. Maybe you end up with Joe Burrow, or the year after, maybe you end up with Trevor Lawrence. Regardless, the issue was Cliff Kingsbury had a gigantic hard-on for Kyler Murray, which is very ironic because, well, there's quite a bit of footage of both of them getting into it with one another over the past season. In his rookie season, though, it looked like the Cardinals made the right decision. Kyler Murray would win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He would throw 20 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He would get sacked 48 times, so that was clearly a trend for the Arizona Cardinals. He would throw for over 3,700 passing yards, and that's before we get to his rushing statistics, which are very fascinating as well. An additional 544 yards rushing. In his sophomore season, the Arizona Cardinals did something that is fairly common in the NFL. When you have a rookie QB and you really want to grow his confidence in the NFL, you should go ahead and try to trade for one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You're seeing it a lot. You're seeing it with Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown a year ago. You saw it with Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa a year ago. It's a very common theme in the NFL. They did it with Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott in 2018. So nothing out of the norm here, and as a matter of fact, it was a stroke of genius. It actually looked like the Arizona Cardinals were making competent decisions at this point. They traded David Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins, and the Texans were memed mercilessly for this trade. And as a result, Kyler Murray took his next step. 26 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, almost 4,000 passing yards, but a 67% completion percentage. And this time he added over 800 yards rushing. The Cardinals would go 8-8, and Kyler Murray would make his first Pro Bowl. 2021, however, the wheels started falling off a bit, at least not in the beginning of the season, because the Cardinals at this point looked like a buzzsaw. I mean, you saw JJ Watt deciding to join the Arizona Cardinals. Players wanted to be in the desert for once. Cliff Kingsbury was this really cool head coach. I was rocking sunglasses on the sidelines while he was calling his plays. Kyler Murray had moments of pure electricity. And as a result, the Arizona Cardinals would start out the 2021 season on a huge winning streak. They looked absolutely unstoppable to start the 2021 season, winning their first 7 games of the season before losing their 8th game, but this would be a result of a Kyler Murray injury. And then the wheels would really start falling off the wagon in December, as the Cardinals would lose 4 out of their final 5 games, and you could even say 5 out of their final 6 games, because their playoff game against the LA Rams was a true laughingstock. Kyler Murray got absolutely embarrassed in that game. There were some questions about his leadership shortly after. All right, I know, pun intended. Okay, enough with the short jokes. But this didn't stop Kyler Murray and his agent from making demands from the Arizona Cardinals for a contract extension. Very atypical, if you ask me, by the way, because typically, if you're a quarterback that is succeeding in the NFL, if you have been to the Pro Bowl over the past 2 seasons and you think this is sustainable production, you typically hold out to the last possible second so you can get as much money as you possibly can. Kyler Murray didn't do that. He started making contract demands at the end of his 3rd season in the NFL. It's a bit of a red flag, because if you pay attention to what Lamar Jackson did, Lamar Jackson waited to the very last possible moment to sign his contract extension. I mean, he waited until Jalen Hurts signed, and then he's like, okay, it's time for me to finally sign my extension. Kyler Murray wanted it at the end of his 3rd season, and he ended up getting it. I praise the Cardinals for this, because I actually thought that this was going to be a cost-saving move for them. I assumed that you're going to move forward with the #1 overall pick in the 2019 NFL draft that has been a Pro Bowler during the past 2 seasons of his career, obviously discounting 2022. Well, 2022 went from bad to worse. Way worse. After an off season where the Arizona Cardinals not only extended Cliff Kingsbury, but also extended Kyler Murray, and also decided to get Kyler Kyler Murray his old buddy from college, Marquise Hollywood Brown, to pair with DeAndre Hopkins once DeAndre Hopkins returned from a suspension. Also a midseason trade of Zach Ertz that occurred in the middle of the 2021 season that I neglected to include. You would think that this Cardinals team was ready to take the next step. They were loaded at most of their positions, but alas, that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. The Arizona Cardinals had the third worst record in the entire NFL. To be honest, it didn't make any sense. There's nobody that I could point to say this is the reason why the Cardinals stunk. From a statistical standpoint, if you look at Kyler Murray's statistics, sure, he wasn't able to finish the entire season, but he still had a QBR of 51.5 and he had a passer rating of 87.2. So to give you an idea, Kyler Murray had the 19th highest QBR in the NFL. So if you are sick and tired of Derek Carr, for instance, or if you think Dak Prescott's mediocre, or hell, if you think Jacoby Brissett or Geno Smith stinks, well, those are all QBs that are ranked higher than Kyler Murray. So this is where we get to where we are currently. The Arizona Cardinals are in a situation. They finished with the third worst record in the NFL this season, but it seems like they're still kind of committed to building around Kyler Murray. So I know this is where it gets a little laughable, and I don't blame you for thinking this is a little comical, because I myself thought this was a little comical. The first pick in the NFL draft was a pick that Kyler Murray requested. The Cardinals dropped from number 3 to number 12 and traded from number 12 to number 6 and drafted Paris Johnson. Finally, a blindside protector for Kyler Murray. I can't believe it took him this long to select a player to protect Kyler Murray's blindside, but they finally did it. But here's the pick that is raising some eyebrows, and I know what you're gonna say.
It's a 5th round pick, Mike. We're not gonna make a big deal out of this.
Well, here's the thing. The Arizona Cardinals selected Clayton Tune with their 5th round selection. Immediately, I'm thinking, okay, just a backup for Kyler Murray. Well, it seems like a lot of fans are thinking this could be Kyler's replacement. I don't believe it, and this is what one fan said. It's either a precautionary cheap backup, or maybe they got him in the event they wanted to replace Kyler. I mean, if Kyler gets injured and Clayton Tune comes in and he starts dominating, we do have a QB controversy. The thing that's causing people to speculate is because there's a lot of other pressing needs for the Cardinals. So here's where I ended up saying, okay, it's time for us to make a video. I think the Cardinals did a great job in the NFL draft, by the way. I think their trade with the Houston Texans was brilliant. This is coming from a very early 2024 NFL mock draft. And again, this is highly speculative. It's not something that I believe in my heart of hearts. We can't even predict the draft order this early on. And this is from a draft that's assuming that the Houston Texans are going to be the second worst team in the NFL, which in my opinion, I don't think is going to happen. I think the Houston Texans are going to be at the very minimum outside of the top 5. At the very minimum, it could be more than that. I think there's a lot of teams that look like they're going to be way worse than the Texans, if I'm being honest. Teams like, I don't know, the Rams, the Falcons, the Titans possibly, or maybe even the Colts with a very raw QB. Again, very difficult to project this. But in this particular mock draft, the Cardinals are projected to have the top 2 picks in the NFL draft. In this instance, with the first pick, the Cardinals are projected to take Caleb Williams. And with the second pick, they're projected to take Marvin Harrison Jr., which we have a crazy video on his father if you guys missed that. And maybe we'll do a nicer video on Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's awesome and his highlight film is very fun to watch. So when I saw this, I'm like, okay, let's back up for a second. We need to have a talk. There's so many reasons that this doesn't make sense. I understand that the Cardinals had a underwhelming season this past year. I understand that their offseason isn't the most exciting. They went after a defensive-minded head coach who got exposed in the Super Bowl in Jonathan Gannon. But here's why I'm making this video, and this is why I think it's really interesting. Kyler Murray more or less could dictate his future this season just based upon how quickly he could rehab from his injury and whether or not he could potentially play somewhere else. So you could either try to rehab as quickly as you possibly can and return so you could try to get your Cardinals out of the first pick area, or you could make sure you don't rush things so you could be fresh in the event that the Cardinals want to trade you. Problem with this theory is, and this is why I think none of this could happen, is Kyler Murray's contract extension still hasn't kicked in. I know, it's crazy. He's still on a rookie scale contract, which is what's unfortunate for the Arizona Cardinals because this is your window to potentially win a Super Bowl, but it looks like they're closer to a rebuild than a Super Bowl. And then by the time you finally retool this team, Kyler Murray's cap hit is going to kick in. A $81 million dead cap in 2024 if they move on from Kyler Murray. They're stuck. There's no drafting another quarterback and hoping that he could pull you out of the gutter. You hitched your wagon to Kyler Murray. That's what happened when you extended him. But at the end of the day, the Arizona Cardinals Cardinals. Even if they finish with the top 2 picks in the NFL draft, best they could do is potentially trade back and maybe get some additional offensive line depth and hope that Kyler Murray takes the next step. But is that really the worst case scenario? I mean, people are so quick to hate on Kyler Murray. Yeah, he didn't have the best season. Yeah, he comes off as like a pompous brat and a petulant child at times. And yeah, I have questions about his leadership abilities. But I don't think it's to the point where you should consider moving on from him altogether, because I think there's a lot worse quarterbacks in the NFL that are starting in the NFL. But that's my take on the matter. I saw this on the internet and I had a lot to say about it, which from just speculation to just theories to just hypothesizing the future to just me thinking it's a little absurd. I'm not confident in the Cardinals at all this season, but I don't think it warrants moving on from Kyler. And even if it does, I don't think you could. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.